That's computer.
Oh, now
Oh,
mine says
it says recording in progress.
Yeah.
Mine's recording. It's
I
good.
was about to
Good
say
job.
somebody's recording. Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started then. We got a small group today, so that's no problem. A lot of people might be busy. Okay, we're doing chapters 4 through 6, and I re-listened to it. I had listened to the whole book like a couple weeks ago, but I re-listened this morning. And y'all, this one is chapter 4, I think is my, or 4 through 6 is probably my favorite part of the whole book, because I think we can all get something out of this. It talks about when people quit, like you've got to look at, um, what are we doing wrong? Because a lot of times people don't quit companies because most of the time the company hasn't done anything to them. They're going to quit because of maybe they didn't feel valued, or maybe it's something that we personally did that we didn't even realize. And I thought that was pretty profound how he always does exit interviews with people. And it's interesting.
Good. I think that's good. Thank you.
Oh, I think it's interesting that I just saw on the jewel line, on the diamond page this morning, Lauren Collinsworth actually posted a message that she was reaching out to somebody about a sale or something, but she said, I also realized that you haven't you kind of quit the products, and I'm just wondering, was it why did you quit? And the lady basically told her she was getting off eBay now. But I just thought it was really a great message that she actually asked this person point blank, like, why did you quit, instead of just avoiding it.
Yes, I love the exit quiz, or at least the exit interview, and just finding out, like, am I the problem? Or what was their excuse? And sometimes it might be you, or y'all might not have clicked, or you might not have been able to say the correct things to help them stay connected. But sometimes it's the person too that might just not be ready.
Or I think we talked about this last week, is just silence from a leader, or people being scared to follow up with people because they're scared of what they're going to say. But y'all, silence is so much worse. Like, I can imagine, especially if the person's working the business. It's the same to me with VIPs who are just taking the products, or somebody that's working the business. Like, if you don't talk to them and have any kind of communication, how are you going to know? And especially if it's somebody that's working the business that's super frustrated, or maybe they just had a horrible week and you have no idea what's going on with them. But if you don't reach out and talk to them, you're never going to know. And they can view our silence as not valuing them. So I thought that was super super important. So it's got the 4 points of, let me see, like 4 reasons why people quit. People quit leaders who devalue them. People quit leaders who are untrustworthy. People quit leaders who are incompetent and who are insecure. And I thought that the insecure one was like really big, because I see that a lot. Even as we rank up and get higher ranks, sometimes we think that it's going to make us so much more competent and just confident. And a lot of times it doesn't. Sometimes all of a sudden you're this rank, and you don't, maybe you feel like an imposter, and so you get a little bit more insecure as you go. And I think that one, I've said it all along, and I don't know if it's a good thing to say, but I've said for years, like, fake it till you make it. Like, people don't want to trust somebody that's super insecure. Like, if Julia acted like she wasn't really sure and she was just scared to do anything all the time, I think I would have probably been even more scared, because she was confident, and it proved to me, just like Sarah and Christy just ranked up. Y'all are super confident, and it's shown your team that you believe in what you're doing. You also believe in them.
I think all of these 4 points, to me, if you didn't really dig into this chapter, I would like write out those and kind of look at yourself and look at your team, like especially your leaders on your team, and try and figure out, like, are any of your leaders devaluing their brand ambassadors and VIPs? Are your leaders trustworthy? And in the trust one, I loved it. It was all about integrity, communicating well, respecting them, sharing goals and working together, and doing the right thing when it came to, handling situations. And then number 3, incompetent, which was mostly about confidence and skill. And if you don't have those areas as a leader, or even as your team, if your team is not, if you're like seeing your leaders, your people that are sharing the business with you and signing up VIPs, if they're not competent where they need to get into trainings, they need to get on these masterminds, need to get on these book clubs and like work on themselves as being a confident leader. And that's part of our role as leaders, is to help them do that, like to move them along in the process, not just figuring out. And especially when you have people, excuse me, that are growing quickly, like, are they really stable in those areas? Or do we need to help them like grow as leaders and lead with confidence? And then I also wrote down developing leadership skills. And then number 4, the insecure one. I mean, these kind of hit home. It like makes you evaluate yourself as a leader and like, what do I need to work on? I loved the part on the insecure where it talked about a leader who, do you want to be, basically listed like stuff that a secure leader would do. And it said, do you want to be a leader who lifts up, who excites, who helps them to grow, to be challenged? An insecure one, like you stated, again, this is like so huge. An insecure leader is one who keeps them kind of like needing you instead of like empowering them to run as leaders, like someone to
absolutely.
Like we should want to be developing strong leaders that are like, boom, I'm gone. They're gone. They're doing their
right.
event.
So they don't need us. Like that's what leadership is. So people they can just do this without you. And I think, a lot of times as women, like it's so easy to get our feelings hurt. Oh my gosh, my team, they just did something without me. And it's like, once we can get past that and realize that that's how it's supposed to be. Like that's what we're doing, is developing leaders. If they always need us, then I mean, we're kind of, I don't know. I mean, network marketing, that's a beautiful thing, is that people can do things without you and your business still grows. So,
and we can still.
It reminds me of your children, like when they grow up and they go off to college, right? And it's kind of sad, but it's also like you have all the emotions. Like you're so proud, but you're also, I mean, obviously I haven't gone through that yet, but I could imagine how it will be. And it's also sad at the same time because it's changes, right? And you're so used to having them, depend on you and need you. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, like I created that though. Like how incredible is that,
Right. But they're off doing their own thing.
Yeah. I kind of think of you, Randy, because I know you right away were a huge leader and kind of did your own thing. And you're so creative and so strong. And I'm sure, I know you guys, the important thing is when you have strong leaders is just to keep up that relationship and be a support and be there for them. But it's probably like, oh, they're flying up and doing their own thing.
No, but it's good. I mean, because then she's going to develop leaders that are going to do their own thing. I mean, it's such a cool thing to me. It talks about the recipe for actually retaining your people, and it's lists out 5 things here. Take responsibility for my relationships with others. When people leave me, do an exit interview that we just talked about. Put a high value on those who work with me, which I feel like we can do that a lot in shouting people out and just telling them like in person or, talking to them on the phone and telling them what they're doing good, not always pointing out what they're doing bad. Putting credibility at the top of my leadership list. So I think this one's huge, y'all, as a leader, doing things like if you promise someone a prize, you get that to them in a timely manner, and you don't just ignore the fact that you offered a prize and didn't follow through. I think that is my number one pet peeve. Like, I'm not saying I've never done it, because, oh my gosh, I've done this for 8 years, and, you know, the team grew very quickly, but that's something that is very, very important to me, so that people believe me when I put out a contest. I want them to know if they participate, they're actually going to get the prize that I promised them in a timely manner. You know, that one, I feel like is super important. I mean, what are ways that y'all feel like?
Say something.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can I say something? Okay, so I love what you're talking about as far as giving leaders, room to grow. And Sarah and Randy are great with allowing me to do that. I don't think I could have gotten to where I am if they hadn't trusted me to do some of the things that maybe I'm uncomfortable with. Like, I just did a live on Facebook right now looking like this. And this is so out of my comfort zone, because usually I'd be like, I don't want anybody to see me unless I have my makeup on and I can put on a filter and my hair's done. But I was thinking when I was in the gym about something, right? And so I thought, I'm not going to wait, because sometimes we lose inspiration if we wait too long. And so I'm doing it. I'm doing some of the things. Well, Renee and I just did something, Sarah, I told her, hey, we got this idea to do something. She's like, okay, go for it. Well, it fizzled out. Like, it did not produce the results that we thought it would do. We did a chat with people that were potential fast start silvers. And we said, okay, we're going to do this challenge, and we're going to give away this prize and that prize and this prize. And it was like 3 days of we're going to help you. And they're like, hi, bye. Kind of thing, right? But this is what I did this morning. I got on my voice text with Renee, and I said, listen, we did something that was out of the ordinary, right? And I commended her for being willing to do something and for wanting to help her VIPs go fast start silver. And I told her what a great leader she is, and just pouring into her, because I believe in her, because I don't want her to look at this as, oh my God, we failed, right? We failed at something. No, we tried something. We learned something from it, and we still love the people that we are trying to help, and we'll still help them individually. But that's what Sarah and Randy have done for me, as far as leaders and helping me grow, is give me a little room to do something, right? And if I don't get the results, that doesn't mean that wasn't successful, because I grew. Right? I grew as a person. I learned something. I learned something about the people that are under me. I learned something about Renee. I stretched her, I mean, she was like, I don't know if I want to do the spin the wheel thing. I was like, go ahead, you can do it. Like, that was something that stretched her. So even little things that we do to help our people, the people that are saying, I want to share, I want to be business builders, to do it maybe differently than we've done it, to try something new. That's what I appreciate about this team, is that we're not boxed in to all be the same, because we're not all the same.
No, I feel like all of us, Jules, literally run our teams differently. Kind of, we work very, very, very well together, but we all have a different style. I mean, it would be kind of weird if we were all just alike. It would be boring, I think. And I love that, Christy. Thanks for sharing that, because I mean, it's true. If I see so many other teams, and they can't believe how well that our team works together, because there's just not a lot of that on a lot of other teams. Everybody wants to be in charge, and I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of times you'll have one really strong leader that just really, really, really wants to be in charge, and just doesn't want anybody else to screw up anything. So they just got to do it all themselves. And to me, honestly, that's exhausting. Like, that's a one person show. And I don't see how that's sustainable to grow like we all want to grow. Like, I just don't know how that would be sustainable. But, okay, let's see. The number 5 was, I recognize that my positive emotional health creates a secure environment for people. So if you're not emotionally healthy, get help. Like, talk to someone. Christy knows that more than all of us, because she's a life coach, but like if you need someone, like get counseling, get coaching, get do self-help, do self-development. Like there's lots of ways, but people can kind of see that and don't really want to follow people who are emotionally unstable, you know. And then I will have a teachable spirit and nurture my passion for personal growth. So be coachable. I think that one, you know, I think it kind of makes me want to go to my leaders and say, you know, what do you see that I'm not doing? Because I need to know, like, I want to constantly be able to up my leadership lid. And how am I going to do that if I don't ask, or even ask, you know, some of my leaders on my team? Okay, so the question at the end says, have I driven away good people by being a poor leader? And how can I change to become more positive, uplifting, trustworthy, competent, and secure? Does anybody want to answer that? Do you have anybody that has quit on your team that you feel like maybe it was because of something you did or didn't do?
I'm sure I have.
I was about to say, I'm sure I have. Like,
In
it's
these
been 8 years.
Definitely. I mean, especially at the beginning, I know I messed up a lot. I mean, I had a lot of growing and learning to do. It's not like I was, and I always will. And I think that that's, you know, we're saying that you're coachable. That's part of that is, especially once you get to even where we're at, is being able to take criticism and knowing that we're not perfect and we're not where we're supposed to be. We never will be. We're always going to have to grow and do things. So I don't know if I don't remember exactly what your question is, but what I did want to say is from chapter 5, one of the things I really loved that I feel that I need to work on, that I like that he does, is when he said LL, like look at the person and listen. I'm like, I find myself a lot of the times having a conversation with someone and then I'm just like spacing out and I have no idea what they're even saying, even if I'm looking at them. So I was like, I think I need to be practicing that because I do that all the time. And I think as people, we do that because it's like you're always waiting to say the next thing, right? And so you're not necessarily listening to what they're saying. Like you're having a conversation pretty much with yourself, you know? Right. So that's something I need to work on. But
yes, I think y'all, and I will say this, you know, after doing a lot of coaching this month with different people and such, like I find that I think that's something we need to talk about more and more and more, is to look and listen. Like, I don't know how to say that, like listen more than you speak, you know. All of us, like, we all need to do that. And even in our personal lives, I mean, you know, you've had your husband, like, we're just talking and he's like, huh? You know, he's not even listening. Or I know I do that to my husband too. So if you imagine going to a Plexus event and think about different leaders that you've met, and they're standing there, but they're really looking past you to see who else is in the room. To me, that is just, I don't know, it can just hurt people because they're so excited to meet you. And then they actually meet you and it's like they're not even standing there. So I think that one is super huge when you're talking to somebody. Like, listen, I always go back to Roz Payne. I think she is like a master at this. Whenever you meet her, you feel like you're literally the only person there. I don't care if there are thousands of other people. You're going to feel like you're the only person standing there. And that's the kind of leader I aspire to be. I don't know that I'm there yet, but I want to give people my full attention. And my ADD might keep me from doing that sometimes, but I really, really am working on putting my phone down, not be scrolling whenever people are in your presence, even in your personal life. Like, just, you know, there's no crisis emergency. Like, put your phone away and be present. And so you're not constantly being distracted by notifications and things like that. But do y'all have any situations where you feel like, Linda? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
There. Okay.
There you go.
One of the things that we were always taught in sales training was we got 2 ears and 1 mouth. And that says it all.
It
That was-
absolutely does.
That was part of the chapter. He said that.
Yes.
Was probably
Yes.
more.
It's huge. And I'm going to be talking about this a lot more on, calls and things, because even whenever you get a new customer, a lot of times we just want to blab all this information to them about all the products and all that, like, instead of just asking them what they actually want out of the products. They may not even want all that information. They may just want to poop, or they may just want like to lose a little weight. They have no interest in anything else. And so if we just give them all this stuff, they're like, okay, I'm out. That's too much.
And all the geeky stuff, all the
Mhm.
nerdy.
Yeah. One
All
thing
the-
I've been coaching my leaders on is, and how to interact with each other, kind of coaching some of my main leaders, but I'm like, ask more questions, and like listen and kind of support through that, instead of do this, or you need to do this, type thing. And I'm not saying they all do that. I'm just saying we're talking about asking more questions, and myself personally.
That's really good. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay. I'm on my phone, and I'm not sure when I'm muted, unmuted, on the video or not. So, okay. So this is so interesting, this discussion, because like you said, Brandy, this is like in life in general, not just with our Plexus VIPs or customers. My daughter met somebody on Instagram, and they had conversation, and he was like, I'd love to do like face-to-face meeting, get to know you more. And he had a ton of miles, so he flew to Northwest Arkansas, spent 3 days with her. And after the 3 days, I was like, so what do you think? And she's like, he's so self-centered. He spent the entire time like talking about himself. And she said, he never asked me the kind of questions that would have led him to know me better. And so she just sent him this really nice text, like, you're a nice guy, appreciate you coming, thank you for paying for everything. And then she pointed out, I gave you an opportunity to get to know me, and you didn't ask any questions. And I mean, her whole text to him was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you, kind of thing. But it made me stop and think, okay, with my customers, with the people that I am leading on my team, am I asking the questions that I need to ask? Like, what are your health goals? I can have a goal for somebody, right? But is that their goal? I can have a goal for somebody's business, but is that their goal? So yes, this has spoken to me so much. I love this book, and I love our discussion. So even though I'm on the run today, I'm so glad I jumped on this call.
Yeah.
Yes. I definitely think learning to just be quiet. I mean, it's such a simple thing that people just feel so much more heard. And just, there's been a couple of calls that I've been on. I've had quite a few coaching calls this month, and y'all, honestly, in the first like 3 minutes, sometimes I just ask questions and people are already in tears. It's because they want to be heard. Like, they just want somebody to ask the questions, and it's kind of like, wow, aha moments. They just want somebody to listen to what they're going through. And maybe, I don't know, I mean, it's not that their leaders haven't asked the questions or whatever. It's just, maybe it's just because I'm a different, someone new, I don't know, but a lot of times people just, or maybe they just haven't felt comfortable to even talk about what, the questions I asked. So yeah, I think that's really important.
Again, were you going to say something? No, you're good. Okay.
Okay. Okay, and the next chapter, we already talked about the LL, and I thought that was so good how he just had to write it in the corner of his paper. Okay, at the end, it's the question at the end of chapter 5 was, do I spend more time talking or listening to my team members? And I think we just kind of went over this. What would happen if I spent more time asking questions and listening? And how can I start doing that by beginning today? Which we kind of just already went over that, really. Definitely asking about what people's goals are. Because like Christy said, we want everybody to be a diamond, of course. But if that doesn't fit into their life right now, or that they don't even, that's not even what, we want to teach people how to dream bigger, of course, but we want to hear about their immediate goals and what their issues are. Okay, chapter 6. I feel like I'm the only one talking here, so I'm definitely want to let y'all talk. Do anybody else have anything they want to say about chapter 6?
Chapter 6,
Those
I
are
wrote
really
down
good.
about the criticism part. The question was, where do I defend myself and pretend I have it all together when I should be gracefully accepting criticism and striving to improve? And for me, I'm
Mhm.
not great at receiving criticism unless it comes like, I need like the fluff. What they say, it's like a Oreo, like you need to have
Sandwich.
the cookie,
Yep.
yeah, the sandwich.
Mhm. Mhm.
Have the cookies on the outside and the criticism on the inside. Yeah, I don't always do well with criticism unless it's kind of done a certain way. I think I'm
Mhm.
already thinking in my head, and probably most of us do this unless we're self-absorbed, but like I feel like that's kind of a process that I do in my head, is kind of thinking along those lines, like, how am I handling situations, or did I ask enough questions, or was I in tune enough, or did I talk too long, or so
Mhm.
for me personally, I feel like I'm kind of in my head, not in an overly negative, like criticizing myself, but just trying to be aware of how I'm carrying myself.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, and I think just being aware that that's a thing for you, is the criticism, and so maybe that can help you be able to take it a little bit more. Nobody likes to be criticized. I mean, no one likes to be criticized. I don't know anyone. So I feel like that's a skill as a leader, to learn how to give criticism by telling them something positive, and then maybe telling how you feel, or maybe even asking them, do you have their permission to tell them what you think? Because a lot of people, sometimes they're like, don't want to hear it. But even us, maybe we don't want to hear it, but just being open.
well, and it doesn't always have to be criticism if it's with the intent to help teach them and guide them and challenge them.
Mm-hmm.
I was sharing a few things with one of my leaders today on a voice message, because that's just the way that she works out better. And so I was just sharing with her a few things, because I started with, I see so much greatness in you. You're incredible at sharing on social media, but let me share with you just a few things that I know. And it wasn't really, I don't think it came off as criticism, but it was definitely some areas to challenge her. And she well received it. She was like, oh, that's great. Like, I can make those little tweaks, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing. If you're pouring into them with the positives, and like, this is just something that I've learned personally, it doesn't always have to look like criticism.
Oh, for sure. Love that. Okay, so at the end of chapter 6, the question was, where am I defending myself and pretending I have it all together when I should instead be gracefully accepting criticism and striving to improve, which is pretty much what you were just talking about. Does anybody else have anything to add to that?
I think the feedback thing that Sarah was just talking about, to praise them and then make suggestions using the feel, felt, found stuff. And I don't know
Yes.
whether you covered that, because I didn't get there yet.
Yeah, that's
but
good.
Very good.
that's one of those things, because it makes it relatable, and then it doesn't make it I know more than you know kind of thing.
Right. I mean, the feel, felt, found is, I love that in so many areas in what we do.
I would say this is just out of personal experience too. If you can either do it on a call or do it in a voicemail message where they can hear your voice, because a lot of times if we're typing out stuff, they might hear it wrong. I mean, y'all know how text can, they might judge she's saying it in this voice, but really it's in a sweet voice,
Yes.
So I
Mhm.
would say when able to, do more of this conversation through a voice message or a call, even though it might be a little more uncomfortable, because
Mhm.
tones can get misjudged in a text.
Absolutely. I love that, Sarah, because and some people love to type and I mean, I don't know. I know some people type in like all caps and it's like, whoa, but maybe that's just how they type. Like they don't even think that it's anything, that they're not screaming at you, but that's how it's perceived, because when somebody types in all caps, it's like you're stressing that. Yeah, voice messages and getting people on the phone is, I mean, I love Megan's video that she did, and she's talking about getting people on the phone. Like that's, and it works, right? Works so much better. People can hear
To my
your
wonderful
excitement, or they
leader.
can, yes. Yeah. So, and even challenging your people, to talk to people in person, and yeah.
Well, and it made me go back to chapter 5 a little. Like it's so much easier to engage asking people questions about themselves, about what they're going through when you're
Mhm.
on an active phone call with them. And that's certainly one of the things that I've always tried, in my adult life, really, is focusing on listening more, talking less, and not thinking about what I want to say, just taking in, actively listening to what they're telling me. And so it opens up so many more opportunities than just typing back and forth in a text for them to actually answer my question. And then it gives me more to work off of. So it's
Mhm.
it's huge. It's been huge. And I love it now. I really do. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Because I mean, sometimes even in a text, even if you're trying to recruit somebody or whatever it is, or trying to train somebody, like I don't know, the doorbell rings or whatever, like they just get distracted, and you just know you can just continue the conversation when you're in person. It's just, obviously, I mean, it seems like really, when you talk about such a simple thing, like just to have an actual conversation instead of having to go by scripts and stuff like that. It doesn't always flow, and you don't, like, I don't know what to say next, just knowing how to lead a conversation.
Yeah. Or figure it out.
Yes. For sure. Like what's your favorite part of these chapters? Like what stood out to you the most?
I personally loved, I believe it was chapter 4 was the one that I most related to.
He's just so real. It's not a bunch of scripted stuff.
Well, Andy's had so much experience. He has so much wisdom to share just from his own personal experiences. And he's just like, this is where I screwed up, or this is how I learned, or this is what I did, or this is what worked.
And I think us as leaders being vulnerable and not always, like the book was saying, always pretend like we've always had it together. Like, I mean, none of us have, and being able to share, the things that we've done wrong, so that other people can learn from it, and not always pretending like, oh, it's been a piece of cake and we did, we followed every single thing and it's all worked out great. Because that, I don't know of anybody that's done that, like no one. But just, facts tell, stories sell, even in coaching your team members and sharing personal things that have happened. I think it can be very powerful.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to add? Nope.
I'm
So-
loving
I think
So-
the LL is my favorite part. Listen more than you
So
speak.
3 more chapters for next week.
Yes. Yep. 7, 8, and 9.
I'm gonna have them all read with notes.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Well, it's so good seeing everybody, and thanks for hopping on. And I'll try to
Okay.
get this. I am recording, right? Are you, Sarah?
I think I am.
Sarah. Yeah. Okay. I can't remember now. Okay, so
thank
Sarah
you.
will get this recording out.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
post it
Bye,
right away.
guys.
Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
See you
Oh, wait,
later.
let's take a picture.
Thanks.
Wait, stop.
Oh,
Don't hang up. I'm going to take a picture. We can share it in our stories. It's our leadership post. Randy, do you want your camera on, or you just want your cute picture?
I can't.
my
turn
camera
on-
is on. Oh, I thought you said
Oh, Randy.
Brandy.
All right, y'all smile. Okay. All righty. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Mastermind at 1.
Thank you.